The former director of WAC, Karyn Mallett, and I conducted a study with faculty here at Mason, faculty across the curriculum, about their experiences providing feedback on student writing and their experiences with, or their perceptions of error in student writing. And it was interesting because one of the biggest concerns that sort of emerged from that study was that faculty were really concerned about whether students were, faculty across the curriculum, so really a lot of discipline-specific instructors, were really concerned about whether students were accessing the content of the course. So when they came, to read the essays that the students were writing on these concepts, they had a really difficult time getting through the language to the content or the meaning. And so one of the biggest frustrations we hear over and over is I don't feel equipped to provide language feedback on our students' multilingual student writing. I don't have the foundational knowledge to do that. And so, but I'm really concerned because students, I'm not sure they're getting the main concepts, so they kind of feel stuck.
Those faculty generally feel like the students are using the terms or the vocabulary or the phrases, but I can't tell if they really understand it. Are they just using them because they're picking those words and they know their importance, but the way in which they're being used, it's not clear that they understand, truly comprehend the concepts themselves.
Yeah, so one of the, I guess, pieces of advice that I've been thinking about since that study and since working with language specialists is, again, sort of going back to what I said before, but being really explicit in your instruction. So not only in the design of all of your materials, so asking, for example, on a writing prompt, telling students that you want them to not just use these 5 words, but actually define them, and then answer so-and-so question. So building that comprehension assessment into the writing so that it's not just an implicit expectation, but it's a really direct expectation. And then another strategy was, I'm forgetting it. The direct expectation. So another strategy also is what Karyn mentioned earlier, but really not thinking so much about assessing, only assessing the productive skills, so writing and speaking, but also thinking about how to build in a lot of support for the receptive skills, including like listening guides for your lecture, or giving students direction with the reading that you assign. So I want you to read for A, B, and C. So being very directive in your expectations for those receptive skills that'll give them the foundation they need to be more effective in their productive skills, and to hopefully lessen that anxiety around whether or not they're accessing content, because you're sort of slowing down and giving them different entry points into that content. And we have a handout that sort of goes over those receptive and productive skills that we developed with some of our colleagues in different departments.
Yeah, and actually the handout breaks it down in terms of if you have a class of 20 or a lecture of 50 or up to 100, what are some ways you can build in some receptive skills, and assessing those receptive skills before you're collecting whatever it is you're going to collect to assess student grades or progress. So I can imagine feeling frustrated if I were a faculty member, not knowing coming in that I'm going to be working with a large number of multilingual students. But I think that frustration just comes from just a fear of a lack of knowledge of how to address these students' needs, and maybe a concern about the amount of time it's going to take me to change my approach to teaching, especially if I don't have any pedagogical training to begin with, to grow some pedagogical strategies that are sort of universally good for all student populations, not students who come to this place in their academic career the same exact way I came to that place myself, but to think beyond myself about the needs of students in general. So I can understand that, and I guess I would just say like harness that frustration to make a change and to sort of reach out and be open to getting feedback on your teaching.